And now for the tale of the tape in this heavyweight showdown between the Dinosaurs, who shall be led by Falcon, and the Wood Elves, who are going to be helmed by Aerocrastic. So yes, guys, we're here with a hot 2-for-1 today. 2 battles for the price of 1, and it's going to be 2 showdowns between Falcon, who in the first game shall be playing the Dinosaurs, and he's going to be facing off against Aerocrastic, who in the first game is going to be playing the Wood Elves. So as far as the Lizard build goes, it looks like the front line is going to be skink cohorts with Javelins. A pretty solid choice. The Javelins can do pretty good damage against, most of the Wood Elf infantry. I mean, they're all pretty lightly armored. I mean, Eternal Guard, I think, have 40 armor or 45. Yeah, it's going to be 40. Granted, they do have silver shields, which is going to be helpful, but against War Dancers and Dryads and, even the Cav units are the entire Wood Elf roster for the most part, aside from Treekin, those Javelins are going to be, pretty useful and provide some pretty good utility. So he's got 4 of those guys in the front, and yes, they can get rode down pretty hard by Wild Riders, but since Falcon invested so heavily in these Cav units, he has Cold Wind Riders, he has Horned ones, he's going pretty balls deep in the mobile movement here. He's going to be able to protect these guys from cycle charges rather effectively, so I definitely like this composition. So he's got 2 Cold Wind Riders as well as 2 Horned ones. So the Horned ones definitely pretty brutish units. These guys can hammer in, regardless of what they're fighting. They're not really going to be dependent on a bonus versus large, but they hit hard, 45 melee attack, 60 weapon strength, 100 armor on these guys. Certainly pretty solid, as well as shields. Granted, Way Watcher is certainly pretty good at focusing those guys down, but the shields are going to be very helpful on these bad boys. And let's look at the HP. So 5,400 and 40. They actually have a lot more HP than the standard Golden Riders. Model count's going to be 36 and 36. So yeah, they just have more HP overall. On top of that, it's going to be a Source Old Blood. So it's not going to be Croc-Guard. It's going to be an OG here. And he does have the Horn of Kygor, if I'm not mistaken, and the Amulet of Idsel. So this is one of the main reasons why this guy is a good pick against Wood Elves, because he can go in there and for 18 seconds, he's going to be taking 66% less damage. And now if you're playing a Blitz build like this, you can see Falcon's going to be charging in pretty aggressively. Like that 16 seconds is going to buy him just so much value if his opponent tries to focus down the big dino here. So I like that quite a bit. He does have a Heaven's Caster as well, so Harmonic Convergence and Curse of the Midnight Wind, a Bastillodon with a Solar Engine, and some Chameleons on the low ground. So I like the Solar Engine. It kind of forces the Wood Elves to come to you. Granted, the Way Watchers can usually sneak up and poke a little bit, but the Bastillodon does have 240, so he's going to be able to secure this high ground position. Not as bad. If this were like a different matchup in like Chaos or someone like that had to push up the hill, it would suck. But Wood Elves, it's not going to be terribly punishing this high ground position. So for the forces of Aerocrastic and the Wood Elves, we've got 3 Way Watchers. We do also have a Glade Lord on horseback with the Prey of Anothrema, a couple of groups of Eternal Guard as well, 1 group of Glade Guard with Hagbane Tips just to get some poison utility. So if there's anything mobile, you can poison them, hopefully be in better shape there. Wild Riders, it looks like there's going to be 2 groups of those boys, which are going to be super important. I mean, he has a lot of high mass pushing into his line here, so the Wild Rider play is going to be super essential, plus a Forest Dragon. So using Falcon's own kind against him. But the Forest Dragon, poison, and has good mass, causes terror. It's going to give him a little bit more punch against those like Horned ones. And for his caster, he does have a Branch Wraith, so it looks like it's going to be Earthblood and I think Melkos. Melkos, again, quite good against those mobile builds. So we're going to see how it goes, man. I'm excited for this one. So let's get the show on the road, guys, and see how it goes. So, of course, the Solar Engine on the high ground is going to be dropping some of that sweet thunder. It does melt a couple Way Watchers, able to take out 3 models there, which is valuable. Any amount of Way Watchers you can take out is going to be super useful. So here, Aerocrastic thinks about charging in, but he does see the massive onslaught of Horned ones and Cold Wind Knights coming down the hill. So he's probably going to be trying to take some freebies here against the Skinks, and the Skinks will take a lot of damage, but the Javelins are also going to hurt a little bit. So let's see, 4,995 HP, and they get the Javelins off, and it does a couple hundred damage. I mean, that's not bad utility. Plus they're poisoned, and it looks like the risky stuff. The Cold Wind Spear Riders are going to be coming down, and they're poisoned right now at 65 speed, so the Velociraptor Cav might be able to get them. A little bit of scary stuff. They're pulling back, and they need to get back to these Eternal Guard. That is going to be super important. In the meantime, they're taking more Javelins. The Javelins just such good utility. Now on the far side, it looks like the Wild Riders do charge in. A little bit balls deep there. They're going to be pulling back, but not before they take massive, devastating damage. And the Way Watchers have done really good work melting the Bastillodon with the Solar Engine, and but still, there's now a lot of dinos coming in, so a massive just Horned one push coming in. The Riders here, the Wild Riders, weren't able to kind of hold those guys up, and now it's going to be the buttering of the bread. The Way Watchers here are going to be hunted pretty bad by the Horned ones. We do have the Source Old Blood coming back here. Now, there probably is a Prey of Anothrema that could be used, and the Way Watchers can run and shoot, so as they're pulling back, they can certainly shoot. And here you can see that the Wood Elves do pretty well over here, actually. Wild Riders and Eternal Guard are able to break the Skink pocket up on the high ground, but that's not like a super crucial element of the battle. In the meantime, the Forest Dragon is going to be falling back, and despite the backline being penetrated pretty heavily by these Horned ones and Cold Wind Riders here, he's done a pretty good job splitting up his forces, and now the Dragon is going to be jumping in and getting contact here on the Horned ones, and there also are going to be some Wild Riders coming back in, and it looks like these Way Watchers on the high ground have stabilized. But nonetheless, the missile units here for the Wood Elves are on the run, and this is a tough situation, having 2 groups of extremely expensive Way Watchers. This is really the lifeblood of this army here, and they're just getting pinned down and hunted by Horned ones. We'll have no problem hunting those guys down. So balance of power is a little bit in the favor of the dinos right now. Some of the wild riders are going to be coming in to try and rescue here, but I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion on this area of the battlefield. The horned ones and golden riders probably will be able to kill the way watchers as well as these guys, especially with a little bit of croc score support coming in. In the meantime, the Wood Elves are going to be sending some Eternal Guard over. The Guard are going to be getting in there trying to stop the Croxagores and give a little bit of sustainability to this battle formation, but it's going to be the Way Watchers just taking so much damage. Now over here, the Forest Dragon can't really find a home. I mean, it tries to land in hell, but that's where the Saurus Oldblood comes in. He's very tough to snipe with the Amulet of Itzel. He has the Horn of Kygor. This guy is just ready to go straight up Jurassic Park up in this hoe, and yeah, he's going to be giving that dragon a lot of problems. So the Wood Elves kind of conceding this position here on the high ground. Skinks are going to be chasing off Way Watchers, certainly. Probably not how these guys thought their lives would be ending at the hand of these little blow dart skink boys, but alas, they're going to be getting hunted into another dimension here, and the bounce power actually pulls back towards the middle a little bit as Wood Elves come in and maybe get some value from the dragon, or actually maybe I think I was reading it wrong a little bit, but no, actually yeah, the Wood Elves had the advantage initially. Okay, so I just totally read that wrong. But the dragon's going to be jumping in here, attacking the back of the Forest Dragon here. There's also some Overwatch fire coming in from the Bastillodon, the Solar Engine, who's doing some pretty solid work here. And it looks like the Wood Elves are starting to crumble a little bit as the Forest Dragon is not able to stand up to the might of the Saurus Oldblood. Forest Dragons, you know, are pretty powerful in their own right, but they're not going to be able to fight a dedicated anti-large monster like a Saurus Oldblood, who's now going to be feasting on the soul of this Glade Lord. So the Glade Lord in a little bit of trouble as it is surrounded by horned ones. And yeah, you can just see there's just a zerg of angry dinosaurs down here. A nice little breath attack coming in. Maybe make some okay contact with the Croxagores and some of the Cav units. But the Glade Lord now at this point is just going to be shreked by the big dinos. And you can see these guys are just not going to be taking any shit. A nice little tail whip there to send a message. Oh, and the Atomic Teabag coming down, giving the business to that guy. And you can see this, yeah, it's going to be shattering here. It's got to be Wood Elf army losses here in a moment, I would imagine. Let's look around and see. There's still a Forest Dragon over here. There's some Eternal Guard. I think that's pretty much it, though. And there also is a Branch Wraith on the low ground. And the Branch Wraith, she's hustling. She's got some tree trunks there, just going in, trying to get some heals off on the Dragon, as well as the Glade Lord. And the Dragon's doing okay, actually. It's able to put up a good fight against these guys, especially with the Melkoss doing a little bit of extra damage to them. But the Dragon, it's still going to be dragged down. Lizardmen have just incredible leadership. They are just going to be holding to the bitter end, especially like Horn Ones and Saurus type units. Those guys are just so meaty and tough to take down. Branch Wraith might come in with the steel chair and be able to break some of the cold ones. The rear charge penalty, of course, will kick in, and you can see the Cold One Riders do break, but the Horn Ones are going to just the last here. And now there's going to be a massive charge of Cold One Riders and other troops coming in, and you can see the Glade Lord here is going to be getting crumbs on by the Horn Ones as well. So that's going to be GG here in this first game, guys, and we will be jumping over to the second match. So Falcon is going to be taking this first game with his Lizardmen, one of his better races, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a good game. That center pocket push coming in with the Horned Ones and the Cold One Riders just getting into that back line was extremely devastating. And I feel like the Wild Riders maybe got a little bit greedy on the flanks because the Javelins plus the countercharging, it just poisons them, slows them. They took a lot of casualties there, but even still, I did like Aerocrastic's army quite a bit. I thought the Dragon was a nice utility pick against like big monsters, and also against Cab, it was pretty good. But the Saurus Oldblood was also very good against it, so it made it a little bit tricky for sure. But that initial crash in the middle, I think, is what ultimately got the game, because the Way Watchers, once they get caught and compromised, that's the big investment in the army. That is your killing power, and obviously, once they got caught, that was it. So guys, that is going to be the first game, and now let us jump over to the second game, which I believe was Tomb Kings versus Bretonnia. So let's do it to it, and we'll see you guys in a second. Alright guys, and now we're back with Game 2, which is going to feature Falcon on the Tomb Kings and the Bretonnians, who shall be led by Aerocrastic. So certainly going to be a fun showdown. Anytime there's Bretonnians involved, I'm always in. And look at this, guys. He's going to be going with Alberic against Falcon. That is a bold strategy, Cotton, but alas, we're going to see how this works out. So for the forces of the Tomb Kings, who again shall be led by Falcon, it's going to be Tomb Guard here in the front line, Skeleton Warriors, pretty standard stuff. Tomb Guard are able to beat pretty much all the Bretonnian infantry, and the Skeleton Warriors can hold out peasants and men-at-arms and things like that. So I like the front line quite a bit, and it looks like he's going to be going with a Bow-Shopti build. So he's got two Shoptis, one of which, no, it's not going to be the Chosen of the Gods. So these ones are a little bit better in my experience at shooting single entities and like kind of elite units. So the two standard Shopti Great Bows should be pretty good against Bretonnian Knights and King Lewin and Alberic and any targets like that. However, you got to watch out. The Bretonnians are pretty good at swarming and just kind of enveloping things, so it's really going to be up to the Tomb Kings this time to protect their backline using the halberds. And looks like two groups of Netakar Horsemen. No, one Netakar Horseman here, which is good. I mean, they're just a solid unit. Netakar Horsemen, I think, for the cost, are one of the best kind of light cav units in the game. And on top of that, he's got some sneaky snakes, which I love this pick as well. These guys are a pretty good combatant against the Bretonnian Knights, like Questing Knights and Knights of the Realm and Knights Errant, things like that. Plus, they also do have poison, so when something comes in, it makes it even harder for them to pull out. That's what she said. So I like Necropolis Knights quite a bit, and it looks like up for the leadership, it's going to be Cetra on the Sphinx. No magic on Cetra. As a matter of fact, it's going to be a Lich Priest with Barona's Time Warp instead, so it's going to be buffing up the front line in some of those fights. And for the forces of Aerocrastic, the hero of Bretonnia, looks like it's going to be peasant bowmen, or excuse me, peasant mobs, men-at-arms, foot squires in the front line. Foot Squires do have that bonus versus infantry, so they are going to be relatively efficient, especially with some magic support at cutting through the front line. So it's going to be men-at-arms, couple peasant mobs, and Foot Squires in the front. In the back, the real heart of the Bretonnian army, it's going to be Grail Guardians. Interesting. Now, Grail Guardians are pretty susceptible to taking some of those heavy bow shots from these guys, but, you know, in terms of getting in there and doing work, these guys are very tough in the grindy fight, and, yeah, you know, can put a lot of pressure on your opponent. So 2 Grail Guardians. On top of that, he's got double Questing Knight, which I like Questing Knights quite a bit against the Tomb Kings because you need AP against constructs. And Knights of the Realm, though they do have a bonus versus large, their AP values are quite low, as, you know, Grail Knights are kind of in the same boat. So I like the Questing Knight pick quite a bit, whereas these guys are probably going to be used to hammer the front line. So he's got Alberic with the Trident, of course, going to be trying to impress us with that. He's got Wind Blast, always a staple against the undead tightly packed factions. Plus he does also have Earthblood. So very, very good picks here. I like both these armies, and let's see how this battle goes. So firstly, the Bowshopti are going to be shooting into the Foot Squires, able to get some decent work in, taking out 11 models initially. And now the other Bowshopti, where are they going to be shooting? I think the Knights are just out of range, so Aerocrastic is probably going to be waiting for his main forces to engage on the Tomb Kings here, and then from there he'll probably pull in his very expensive Grail Guardians, just making sure they don't take the huge shots. Questing Knights are going to be collapsing on the flanks, however. It looks like in total there are 3 Questing Knights, and I wonder how the Bretonnian infantry is going to do. It looks like Falcon is going to be surging out of the front here with the Netcar Horsemen, going to be hammering into those guys. And here comes the first charge, though. The Questing Knights are going to be getting in here and doing some work against unbraced units, but their charge bonus isn't like ludicrous. So the Quest Knights, though, are amongst halberds. That's not necessarily going to be the best situation for them, but the peasant mobs are going to be coming in. These Quest Knights need to get back ASAP. That is a really, really unfortunate situation. Other Quest Knights are going to be hammering into the front as well, into the Tomb Guard, and then from there I would imagine they're going to pull back and maybe attack Cetra. And Alberic's getting in there, and the Grail Guardians are now coming in. Oh, a big fat Wind Blast. That was so good. Beautiful cast here by Aerocrastic, able to slam those guys. And now the Grail Guardians are saturated in the frontline fighting. So this is kind of like a Bretonnian Death Star. You have all these very sustainable, durable knights, which you really need to commit a lot to deal with. And in committing a lot to deal with them in the front, now the back line is even more open. So you can see here there's going to be some spears and other units rotating, but Falcon has a very good rotation. He's able to get the skeleton spearmen and halberds in front of these knights. Beautiful stuff right there. Aerocrastic may decide to just charge through them. So he takes the charge. Ooh, man, those skeletons really got punished by that charge, and he's just riding right through them, straight up rover him. So it looks like there's going to be is that the Trident? Come on, is it the Trident? Oh, the Trident comes in. Doesn't do much, but it looked really cool. So here in the back, oh man, Alberic coming in with a steel chair and crushing that Lich Priest, doing huge damage. And now the Ushapti Great Bows are going to be collapsing on him as well. But the center pocket for the Bretonnians, I mean, they got a lot of durability here. These Grail Guardians and these other troops and these Foot Squires, they're all kind of grinding out the Tomb Kings in this fight a little bit. Tomb Kings infantry here being fully enveloped by the very wide army of the Bretonnians, the Foot Squires coming in. And man, we have a fierce cockfight on our hands. So here in the back line, the Questing Knights are going to continue fighting. They are being grinded down though by the halberds and spears. So maybe they want to pull back here, but the peasant mobs and men-at-arms are getting in. And it looks like Alberic was able to do a number on the Lich Priest. Where is that Lich Priest? Did he actually die? No, the Lich Priest actually fled to fight some peasants, which probably isn't a bad choice. So in the meantime, the Bowshopti are still back online, so that is certainly a good thing for Falcon, getting that fire into the Bretonnian Knights and those high value targets. And in the meantime, Cetra is helping in the front line to fight against some of the Grail Guardians and these other troops. Up in the sky, you can see Alberic's going to be swooping down, coming in for the kill, but Falcon does have the moves like Jagger and is able to juke that. But there's a massive collapse coming. Is there going to be an escape here? You can see the sneaky snakes are going to be coming in, trying to rescue the caster, but the Grail Guardians get this around. Now, they won't have huge DPS, but oh, Alberic coming in. The Master of Bordello here able to get a huge blow right there, and the Lich Priest just gets absolutely crumped by Alberic. Beautiful stuff here from the Bretonnian Lord. And Cetra is going to be coming in for vengeance. Cetra, obviously a pretty powerful duelist here. I mean, even though it says bonus versus infantry, Cetra is pretty good against pretty much everything it wants to fight. And the Bowshopti are able to escape, so the Bowshopti get back here, but it looks like Aerocrastic does see that happening. He's going to be getting the Questing Knights charging in right here, and he's just going to be hammering into those Ushapti Great Bows. So yeah, he's able to kind of crumble some of those guys, and the Tomb King's infantry has been handily defeated by the Foot Squires and the Bretonnian hordes. You can see here that these Skeleton Warriors are also in a little bit of trouble. So man, what a game by these two players. Definitely been a fierce one, but it looks like Cetra's in a little bit of trouble as Alberic is, you know, got the full surround. Grail Guardians, though they will take damage from some of these troops here, are going to be durable. They're just going to fight to the bitter end. These guys just give no shits for the lady, or give, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. They give no shits on behalf of the lady. That's the correct way to say it. So here, Alberic with the Foe Seeker going to be going in. Cetra is trying to get away, but I don't know if Cetra is going to be able to get away. Alberic taking an angle of pursuit, probably to go after the Ushapti Great Bows. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. Need to finish those guys off. The bounce power is in the favor of the Bretonnians right now. As you can see, there's a massive tide coming in. Sneaky snakes are taken offline, and there's still a fair amount of Grail Guardians left. There's quite a bit. Ushapti Summit is coming in. This might be enough to kind of help these halberds hold. And now if you can kill Alberic, actually, that might be something that could get Falcon back in the game here. Alberic, of course, would be quite a juicy target. And it looks like there's going to be a cast going off. Is it going to be the Trident? Trident goes off, and it looks like it does okay damage to the halberds, but it is going to be cleaving through a lot of the Bretonnians back there. And the curse does go off here from Cetra, which does kind of help to normalize the balance of power a little bit. But it's really just going to be Alberic on fisticuffs here. Is he going to be able to get this online? And more importantly, a lot of the balance of power that is left for the Tomb Kings is in these Ushabti Great Boats, which are pretty much compromised. They're surrounded, they're going to be fighting peasant mobs, which is extremely cost inefficient, and those guys, they just can't really get away. There's so many Bretonnian cav left. We do have some Tomb Guard coming in the back. There's going to be a charge coming in from these Grail Guardians, getting a nice little lance in there. Like I said, no lances, they have great swords, but you guys get the picture. Alberic is going to be in this Mortal Kombat duel with Cetra, and I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with how Alberic's been doing in this duel. Granted, Cetra is fully surrounded and outnumbered, so it's not truly an accurate I guess, rendition of how that duel would go. But Cetra getting attacked by those bonus versus large attacks. 10 leadership, he was in the negative just a second ago, but it looks like Alberic is probably going to finish him off. That bonus versus large is quite substantial, and you can see here that the Great Sphinx Master, 127. Is Alberic going to get him? Is he going to be pulling back? It looks like Alberic may just leave him, seeing that he's crumbling. It's like when you walk away from an explosion in the action movies, right? So down he goes. He crumbles beneath a horde of men-at-arms, letting out resounding cheers. I wouldn't cheer so soon, guys. This thing might fall on you. Oh, no, fell on your buddies on the other side. You guys are A-okay. You can keep cheering. So here you can see there's Ushabti Great Bow still fighting, and it looks like Alberic is going to be on the hunt over there. And that is going to be all she wrote. So the noble Bretonnians able to take the victory in a very fun matchup. That was a great one. So very well played to both players in these two games. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It was a lot of fun watching them play. Definitely two masterful players. And I have some more good games coming up there acrostic as well. We had some really fun matches. So yeah, that was a really good one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that 2-for-1. Getting to see Bretonnia, Tomb Kings, the Lizardmen, and what was the other faction we saw? God damn, I'm just totally blanking right now. And what else? Yeah, it was good stuff. And if you guys haven't, please make sure to check out Aerocrastic over on his YouTube channel. There'll be a link in the comment section below, as well as Falcon over on his Twitch channel where he streams. So thanks again for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.